In 2020, a company known as MiHoYo released a game called Genshin Impact to instant worldwide success and critical acclaim. But did you know that in 2018, a full 2 years before Genshin's launch, MiHoYo released a 17-chapter webtoon / manga to advertise for it? Because not a lot of people do, and it is horrendously underrated. So here I am, to yell at you about it, and to summarize the plot in case you don't have time to sit down and read the whole thing for yourself. So spoiler alert for the entire manga, obviously, and a few details about Genshin Impact itself. With that out of the way, let's begin with the prologue. At the start of the comic, we're introduced to Vanessa and her younger sister Linda, two slaves living just outside the city of Mondstadt, shortened to Mond for the rest of the series. Vanessa heads into Mond to fetch medicine for her sister. At the same time, Venti the Bard, who is actually the god Barbados, told you there'd be spoilers, awakes from his slumber. Venti also goes to Mond and quickly realizes it's very different from the City of Freedom he remembers. Mond is threatened by Ursa the Drake, and only the selfish Lawrence clan possesses the means to subdue it. As a result, the Lawrence clan quickly seizes power, becoming cruel overlords of Mond who use their influence to enslave much of the city. The Lawrence clan have also taken over Ludai Harpastum, an annual festival meant to celebrate the god Barbados and the freedom he brought to his city of Mond. Venti, aka Barbados, is upset that his holiday, which was meant to be celebrated by everyone, has been hijacked by Lawrence clan magnates. So he screws with them almost immediately and ends up getting chased out of the city, where he runs into Vanessa. Literally. Vanessa, nicknamed the Lion's Tooth for her strength and ferocity, protects Venti from the Lawrence clan. They run off and shout to Vanessa that, quote, she will be sorry. That night, the same Lawrence clan aristocrat shows up at Vanessa's home, boasting that his family purchased not only Vanessa, but her entire clan. Later, Vanessa is sitting in jail when Venti strolls up and unlocks the door with the key he snagged while the guards were sleeping. However, despite being freed, Vanessa refuses to leave because she knows the rest of her clan will be punished if she escapes. Furthermore, she has a contract with the Lawrence clan stating that if she can win 12 arena battles, they'll set her clan free. Venti pleads for her to reconsider, but Vanessa's final battle is tomorrow, and she's determined to fight for her clan's freedom. The next day, Vanessa gears up for a fight, but it turns out her final opponent is none other than Ursa the Drake. Not only that, but Lord Lawrence forces her entire clan to fight alongside her, many of whom are not combat trained. He then promises to hand over the keys to Mond and everything he owns if Vanessa's clan can defeat the Drake. Vanessa is no match for Ursa, and a couple members of her clan fall in battle. Just as things are looking bleak, Venti appears wearing the sluttiest costume I have ever seen. Sorry. Got distracted. Together, he and Vanessa vanquish Ursa the Drake and drive it out from Mond. Peace and freedom return to the city of Mondstadt as Vanessa establishes the Ordo Favonius, or as it's called in-game, the Knights of Favonius. We then cut to some time later. Vanessa has ascended to Celestia and now takes the form of an eagle to watch over her beloved city of Mond. And that's the end of the prologue. Before I get to the rest of the comic, as an artist myself, I need to gush about the drawings for a minute. Every single panel has professionally rendered backgrounds with detailed textures, ambient lighting, and interesting perspectives. The characters not only look amazing, but their posing is dynamic and their expressions are perfectly exaggerated. I feel bad for comic creators. They spend hours on intricate drawings only for half of it to be obscured by speech bubbles. And what isn't obscured, viewers only look at for like 2 seconds. Even though I'm sure there was an entire art team behind this manga and it wasn't just one dude, I still think it's important to draw attention to all the hard work that went into creating it, especially since human-made artwork has been so devalued in recent years. But that's a topic for a whole other video. Or 10. Anyway, chapter 1. Our real story begins with Il Dottore. Dottore? Dottore. It looks Italian, I'm gonna call him Dottore. And his underling, Krupp. They're both members of the Fatui, an organization of nefarious diplomats from the nation of Snezhnaya. The two run brutal experiments on innocent people, and they're running out of test subjects. Krupp suggests they look for more in Mondstadt, as the Fatui have recently been invited there to celebrate Ludai Harpastum. The two Fatus arrive and meet with Diluc, the master of Dawn Winery, as well as Seamus the Seneschal, and Kaeya, the court quartermaster of Ordo Favonius. In a private meeting, Krupp reveals their plan to recruit new Fatui from Mondstadt, leveraging the fact that years ago, Dottore defeated Ursa the Drake and saved the people of Mond, which is exactly what the Lawrence clan did so long ago. Defeat Ursa the Drake so Mondstadt is indebted to you, and you use that debt to enslave its people. History repeating itself. The meeting reaches a stalemate, and the group takes a break. Krupp heads to the cellar, planning to get his hands on some famous Mondstadt wine when he's ambushed by an assassin. It's obviously Diluc. I don't know why he even bothered with that tiny bird mask, but I digress. Diluc channels the powers of a glassy red orb to apprehend Krupp and interrogate him. But before he can get any valuable information, Dottore silences Krupp permanently. Diluc offers all the wine in his cellar as recompense for attacking Krupp, which Dottore accepts, and then he leaves. As he does so, we learn about visions, glass orbs given to a select few by the gods, allowing them to wield some of the gods' power. But the one Diluc uses is different, crystal clear, pure red, and it piques Il Dottore's interest. Chapter 2. Kaeya, along with Jean, the acting Grand Master of Ordo Favonius, escort the rest of the Fatui out of Mondstadt. At the same time, a small bandaged girl with green hair and purple eyes tries to enter the city. The guards worry that she's diseased, so they turn her away. Outraged, the girl conjures a serpent of black fire who attacks and kills 2 Fatui envoys, as well as injuring 15 others. While the knights and guards are distracted by this, the bandaged girl slips into Mond. After the attack, Ordo Favonius gathers, knowing the Fatui will be searching for answers, and they'll likely use this incident as diplomatic leverage. The knights need a valid explanation for what happened and why, and they need it fast. Kaeya is paired up with Outrider Amber, whom he blows off immediately and goes to Diluc Manor on his own. On the way, Kaeya tells us a little bit about Diluc's backstory. He got his vision when he was only 10, became a captain of Ordo Favonius at 14, and when he was 18, he quit Ordo Favonius just after his father died. Kaeya and Diluc discuss the envoy incident over a game of darts. Kaeya mentions how the Serpent of Black Flame looks awfully similar to something Diluc would conjure with his unique pure red vision, and implies he might be the one behind the attack. Taken aback, Diluc accidentally destroys a vase and denies that he has anything to do with the attack on the Fatui envoys. Chapter 3. Amber discovers the bandaged girl loitering under the statue of Barbados. Amber questions the girl about who she is and why she's out so late, but all we learn is that she's looking for something. Bandaged girl keeps trying to escape, but Amber is insistent that she's gonna help her find whatever it is she's looking for. It's clear Amber and this outcast couldn't be more different. Amber has an optimistic outlook on life. She sees the good in people and always tries to help wherever she can, whereas the bandaged girl resents the gods and those with visions, not understanding why some people seem to be blessed by the gods and others, like herself, are abandoned by them. We also catch a glimpse into bandaged girl's past. She was diseased at birth. Seeking help, her parents gave her to the town seer, a man with a white mustache. The seer ran harmful experiments on her and then cast her out of the city along with all the other diseased exiles. She begged for someone, anyone to help her, but nobody did. She was alone. Chapter 4. Il Dottore is still fascinated with Diluc's peculiar pure red vision. Dottore wants to honor Krupp for his quote-unquote sacrifice, so he builds a giant flaming robot and slaps a mustache on it before sending it out into the wild. Meanwhile, Amber and Bandage Girl run into Jean as well as Lisa, the librarian of Ordo Favonius. Jean wants to know more about this black fire serpent, and Amber wants to help Bandage Girl find whatever it is she lost, so the 4 of them, Jean, Amber, Lisa, Bandage Girl, head to the library to do some research. There, Jean asks Amber what she and Kaeya have learned about the envoy attack, which is hilarious because Amber knows nothing at this point, but it turns out the black fire serpent isn't elemental in nature at all, meaning it wasn't created by a vision, but something else entirely. Amber reads some burnt papers that were salvaged from the scene of the envoy attack, realizes something, and rushes off to find traces of Il Dottore, believing that the Fatui may have the answers they're looking for. Chapter 5. Out on her scouting mission, Amber finds a Hilichurl camp suspiciously close to Mond, and while investigating, notices the mark of the Fatui on a bird made of metal. Amber uses her Outrider scouting skills to take out the entire camp of Hilichurls one by one using nothing but stones. She pockets the metal bird, planning to bring it back to Mond to investigate it, when Robo Krupp attacks. attacks. It looks like Amber is out of options, but just then, Jean jumps in to save the day. Chapter 6. Utilizing her vision in combination with her swordsmanship skills, Jean gets the better of Robocrup. She talks with Amber about the mysterious metal bird as well as the burnt papers they read in the library. Jean reaches the same conclusion Kaeya did, which is that this black flame looks like it could come from Diluc's pure red vision, which we now learn is called a delusion, and that this delusion used to belong to Diluc's father. As they're chatting, Robocrup reforms and attacks them once more. Jean faces off with the machine and yells after Amber to bring the Fatui bird back to Mond, but Robocrup is locked in on the metal bird and chooses to pursue Amber instead. After some more running and fighting, Amber and Jean use their visions in sync to blow up some nearby barrels, and Robocrup explodes. While all this is happening, Lisa is sent off to interrogate Diluc, which is now the second time he'll be questioned by Ordo Favonius. Bandage Girl, now all on her own, steals some burnt papers from the library. She recognizes a few symbols and knows this is what she's looking for, but the text is written in a language she can't read. She's caught sneaking out of the library by Kaeya, who recognizes her from the city gates on the day the Fatui envoys were attacked. Needless to say, he's quite suspicious. Chapter 7. Diluc tells Lisa he's already been questioned by Kaeya and that he has nothing to do with the envoy attack. But with new evidence found in the burnt papers, Lisa now believes whoever's behind this is the same person responsible for what happened to Diluc's father 3 years ago. We cut back to Mond, where Kaeya is asking Bandage Girl for her name, which turns out to be Kaeya. Yes, that Kaeya. Just then, Amber and Jean show up, and Amber asks Kaeya if she found what she's looking for. Perhaps realizing she needs help reading the papers, or perhaps inspired by Amber's kindness, Kaeya decides to give the burnt pages back. Kaeya takes them and notices the burn marks are similar to the ones left behind 3 years ago when Diluc's father died. This is the same evidence Lisa found that led her to question Diluc. We cut back to the two of them. After a bit of chatting, Lisa persuades Diluc to recount exactly what happened to him and his father 3 years ago. It's the day of Diluc's coming of age. He and his father, Crepus, are traveling home together. Unbeknownst to them, a metal bird bearing the mark of the Fatui is perched above their carriage. The bird lights up, and suddenly Hilichurl's attack and Ursa the Drake descends upon the two men. Crepus, using the power of his delusion, manages to fend off the attackers. But using a delusion to such an extent comes at a high price. The delusion backfires, and Crepus dies then and there, right in front of Diluc, just as Kaeya and the other knights arrive to help. Chapter 8. This chapter begins with Amber telling the story of when she was younger and snuck into Ordo Favonius to surprise her grandfather, but ended up overhearing a meeting between some of the Favonius knights and Diluc just after his father died. Naturally, Diluc wants the public to know about his father's sacrifice. The knights, however, want to take credit themselves for defeating Ursa, arguing that people won't trust Ordo Favonius if a quote-unquote mere businessman defeated the Drake while they stood by and did nothing. This infuriates Diluc. He rips off his vision, throws it to the floor, and leaves Ordo Favonius on the spot. Back to present day, Kaeya believes the Fatui is responsible for everything, and the burned papers are the key to their investigation. Kaeya asks Kaeya what's written on the burnt papers. Already suspicious, Kaeya asks why she's so interested in them. She says the Fatui injected something into her friend's body, and she's looking for a cure. Of course, she's talking about herself and the reagent administered to her, which everybody catches on to, except for Amber. None of them can read the language on the burnt documents, but Lisa has a friend in Sumeru who she believes could translate them, so she gets in touch. People have been seeing more and more metal Fatui birds all over town, just like the one Amber saw at the Hilichurl camp. We learn that the Fatui are sending a diplomat to Mond in 3 days to get some answers about the attack on their envoy. Jean suspects that whoever is responsible for these birds is planning to use them to attack Mondstadt, and will most likely strike during Ludai Harpastum. Jean, Lisa, Amber, Kaeya, Kaeya, and the knights are determined to finish their investigation before the Fatui diplomat arrives. That way, they'll have answers for the Fatui, and Ludai Harpastum can go off without a hitch. Chapter 9. We're back with Il Dottore, who really couldn't care less about the two dead diplomats. One of Dottore's underlings, a white-mustached man, gets permission to go to Mond to investigate. At the same time, Amber and Kaeya are searching for more Fatui birds hidden in Mondstadt. They find one atop a windmill, which reminds Amber of Barbados. Kaeya makes an offhanded comment about how the Archons don't care about anybody besides their quote-unquote chosen ones. Amber disagrees, so she puts a pause on the birdwatching to show Kaeya around Ludihar Pastum, ideally to enjoy the festivities, but also to show Kaeya that not every Archon is as bad as she thinks they are. The two enjoy a whole series of carnival treats and games. The pile-em-up scene is hilarious. It wouldn't be very funny for me to just describe the scene in detail, so if you're curious, I'd recommend you go read it for yourself. Anyway, they enjoy the festival together, Amber is really good at all the skill-based games, and Kaeya even starts to open up near the end. The last event of the night is the circus, which only tours once a year. Amber is very excited to go, but Kaeya has a bad feeling about the whole thing. Chapter 10. Kaeya is uncomfortable and asks Amber if they can just leave. Amber, who's been looking forward to this for a long time, dismisses Kaeya and tells her to just stay for one show. In the first act, the performers need a volunteer from the audience. Kaeya does not put up her hand, but they choose her anyway. The circus pulls the classic swords through a person in a box stunt. Kaeya is safely hidden away in a box underneath the stage, but her anxiety flares up, which triggers a full-blown panic attack. She has a flashback to when she attempted to enter a city, was kicked out and beaten for it, and then injected with another experimental serum by the same white-mustached seer we saw earlier. The clown asks for another person in the crowd to participate. This time, Amber volunteers. They ask her to look for Kaeya, who's hidden inside one of many identical boxes. Amber remembers Kaeya's scent and finds her box quickly, but Kaeya is so mentally distraught from this traumatic experience that she tries to stab Amber with a knife she found in the box. Luckily, it's just a prop knife, and rather than stabbing someone, it releases dandelions when used. The crowd cheers, and Kaeya realizes just how different life in Mond is from the life she knows. The people of Mond live free and unrestrained. Kaeya begins to empathize with them. After the show, Kaeya interrupts the festivities and sends Amber off to look for more Fatui birds. Now alone with Kaeya leads her into a secluded alley. Chapter 11. Kaeya attacks, flinging shards of ice and frozen walls at Kaeya in an attempt to draw out the black serpent within her. Kaeya fights it initially, remembering the kindness shown to her by Amber, but Kaeya refuses to let up. His onslaught of attacks continues until her only option is to rely on the power of the black serpent. So she retaliates, and their fierce battle commences. At about this time, Amber has realized that Kaeya lied to her, and using signs from the battle, manages to track down Kaeya and Kaeya. When she arrives, Kaeya is beaten and bruised, but even so, she's doing her best to resist the black serpent. Kaeya attempts to goad it out once more. Just before he strikes though, Kaeya gives up. She asks Kaeya to please just kill her, which surprises Kaeya and causes him to hesitate. Amber seizes this moment to interrupt the fight, grab Kaeya, and run off. Chapter 12. Amber knows Kaeya doesn't attack people for no reason. Having put the pieces together, Amber asks Kaeya if she's the one responsible for the attack on the Fatui envoy. Terrified, exhausted, and furious, Kaeya explodes in a fit of rage, screaming that yes, she killed them, and she feels no remorse, that she would happily kill everyone in Mondstadt. But Amber knows she doesn't mean any of it. Amber sees the good in her. She says she can tell that Kaeya is trying to right her wrongs, she's just not doing it in the right way. And an evil person wouldn't have asked Kaeya to kill them. Amber reveals that the burnt pages Lisa sent to her friend in Sumeru have finally been decoded, so they head for the library. There, they meet Sino, except he doesn't actually have a name in the manga yet. He can't permanently cure Kaeya's parasite, but he can seal it. Kaeya agrees, and they plan to meet the following afternoon, the only time the ritual can be successfully performed. Kaeya once again talks to Diluc. He now believes the Fatui are not responsible for the envoy attack, that was Kaeya's doing, but they are responsible for the metal birds. 3 years ago, they used the birds to control Ursa the Drake and kill Diluc's father. Later, they pulled the same stunt so Dottore could defeat Ursa and look like a hero. The Fatui, in turn, were given permission to recruit a bunch of Mond citizens whom they used for their experiments. Now, Kaeya believes the increase in metal bird sightings indicate the Fatui are gonna try something again, specifically tomorrow on their official visit to Mond, so he and Diluc hatch a plan. Chapter 13. The Fatui diplomat arrives in Mond, and sure enough, it's the same white-mustached man we've seen a few times before. Turns out, he was there the night Kaeya attacked Kaeya, and he saw Kaeya escape with someone in red. He believes Ordo Favonius is harboring the fugitive, a claim which Kaeya denies. Kaeya offers to help look for the fugitive alongside the Fatui diplomat and his guards. While out searching, the group catches a glimpse of someone in red surrounded by black fire. They give chase, believing this person to be the culprit behind the envoy incident. Meanwhile, Sino, Amber, and Kaeya stand atop the peak of Starsnatch Cliff, preparing the ritual to seal the Black Serpent within Kaeya. Sino warns her that if she were ever to attempt to use the Black Serpent's power again, it would devour her. Kaeya understands, and the ritual begins. Sino mutters incantations in an unfamiliar language, and after what looks to be an excruciating process, the ritual is successful, and the Black Serpent is forever sealed within Kaeya's body. Kaeya and the Fatui have now cornered the culprit. It's Diluc. Using the black flames from his delusion, he now fits the diplomat's description of someone in red surrounded by black fire. This was his and Kaeya's plan, to distract the Fatui by pretending to be the real culprit. That way, Kaeya's ritual can go off without a hitch, and they can give Fatui the answers they're looking for without implicating Kaeya. Kaeya and Diluc fight for a bit to keep the charade going, but both soon realize the diplomat is nowhere to be seen. Although the guards are convinced, the diplomat senses energy emitted from the sealing ritual and sees through Kaeya and Diluc's ploy. He rushes over to Starsnatch Cliff just in time to confront Kaeya and Amber. Chapter 14. Starting at Chapter 14, official English translations are no longer available, only fan translations on websites other than Webtoon. But the story is pretty straightforward from here on out, so it doesn't have too big an impact on the overall narrative. The diplomat recognizes Kaeya as one of the unclean, who is injected with a reagent and managed to survive, which is exceedingly rare. This all but confirms that he's the same seer from Kaeya's backstory. He also knows that she's the true culprit behind the envoy attack, and thus has the perfect excuse to bring her back to the Fatui to run further experiments on her. He launches forward, brandishing dual swords and hurling his own black flame at Kaeya, while Amber fights fiercely to protect her. The diplomat taunts Kaeya, telling her that she's now sealed the only power that could have cured her. He tries to convince Kaeya that she deserves to take revenge against all those who have wronged her, which at any other time probably would have worked, but Kaeya remembers how much the people of Mond have helped her, particularly Amber, and she resists the Fatui diplomat's words. Amber defeats him in combat, and she and Kaeya turn to go, but right then, the diplomat's body morphs and breaks as he transforms into a giant beast. Chapter 15. Despite being completely outmatched, Amber refuses to give up and fights as hard as she can to protect Kaeya. Kaeya remembers all the times she was betrayed or neglected and never believed she was good enough to fight for, so she can't understand why Amber fights tooth and nail to protect her. Seeing this display of selfless courage, Kaeya realizes that she too wants to be a person who can protect others. Beaten and exhausted, Amber stands proudly in defiance of the giant beast. As it's about to lurch forward, a symbol forms in the sky, and black chains pour downward, piercing the beast's flesh. It's Diluc. Using his delusion together with a well-timed shot from Amber's bow, they defeat the beast, who morphs back into the diplomat and passes out on the ground. At that very moment, Kaeya and the Fatui guards show up. They still believe Diluc is the culprit, and now that he's knocked out their diplomat, they're even more convinced. So they, along with Kaeya, arrest Diluc and load him into their wagon to bring back to Fatui headquarters. Chapter 16. The final chapter begins with Amber rushing to the library looking for Kaeya. Lisa hands her a letter in which Kaeya says goodbye and tells Amber that she's been inspired to go to Sumeru, study medicine, and become stronger. She also tried to sew up the clothes Amber lent her that got ripped during Kaeya's attack. Diluc escapes the Fatui pretty much immediately. Luckily, it's no longer Mondstadt's problem since the Fatui had no idea who he was, and he escaped outside Mondstadt's walls while in Fatui custody. With that, the city of Mond has officially settled the dispute regarding the two dead envoys and prevented any attacks during Ludai Harpastum. In the final scene, Kaeya meets Diluc with a present, a new vase, to replace the one that broke at the beginning of the investigation. And hidden at the bottom of the vase is Diluc's real vision, the one he threw away when he quit Ordo Favonius 3 years ago. And so, in one final act of rebellion rebellion against the Fatui, Diluc packs up his delusion and mails it straight to Il Dottore. And that's how it ends. Final thoughts. I love how this manga portrays characters many of us already know and love from the game. Their personalities shine through not only their dialogue and actions, but also their facial expressions. I think Genshin Impact does a good job conveying expressions with their 3D models. Even so, you can't beat 2D hand-drawn characters when it comes to displaying emotion. Everyone is dynamic and distinct, down to the way they speak and move. The fight scenes are incredibly well choreographed. Each movement is concise and easy to follow, and the characters use their visions in creative ways. Amber imbues stones with pyro and chucks them at hilichurls. Kaeya uses his cryovision to give people frostbite, fling shards of ice, or shield himself. The manga isn't limited by mechanics like the game is, which frees up a lot of room to have fun and push the limits of what characters can do with their elemental powers. Personally, I like Kaeya and Diluc way more having read the comic. When I met them in game, I understood they were both brooding, edgy characters, but I didn't know why. It almost felt like they didn't deserve to be as distant and cold as they were. But thanks to the manga, I really sympathize with them now. Diluc was a bright-eyed kid, and only through the tragic loss of his father did he become jaded. And imagine the mental toll it took on Kaeya to realize he was too late. Diluc's father was dead, and he wasn't there to help. Now that I've seen their tragic backstories, along with all the badass stuff they've done, I think they have the right to be the snarky edgelords they are. My favorite plot twist in the series was Kaeya revealing her name. I should have known based on the hair and eye color and that she's clearly from Sumeru, but I genuinely didn't piece it together until that moment. And then it all made sense. The disease, how she knew Amber, her pursuit of medicine. It's so cool to see that her upbeat and cheerful attitude is a direct result of all the Mondstadters who helped her out. Honestly, I assumed Bandage Girl was a random character we'd never see again so that the manga could be deemed non-canon. But they didn't do that. They made her into a real character and put her in the game. I respect it. Kaeya is so different in the game than she is in the manga, you can easily see the effect Amber had on her growth as a person. They really did do Kaeya justice. I love how nuanced conflict is in this story. It isn't bad guy doing evil thing and good guy stops bad guy. It's knights who have different ideas about what's best for their city. It's Kaeya having to attack a little girl because she poses a threat to Mondstadt. It's a constant back and forth internal conflict within Kaeya's mind, which, might I add, is handled quite maturely. As someone living with anxiety myself, I'm glad they gave Kaeya's panic attack the gravity it deserves. And her friendship with Amber is a beautiful depiction of a meaningful relationship. People make mistakes, and they hurt each other. Amber forced Kaeya to stay at the circus when she was clearly uncomfortable. Kaeya broke down and lashed out at the only person who's always been there for her, and yet the two never forget their respect for one another, and they're best friends when the story's over. And lastly, the ending. What a perfect way to wrap up a story. I didn't mention this in the recap, but Diluc serves Kaeya grape juice the first time they chat, which Kaeya hates. In the final scene, Kaeya assumes he's been given grape juice again, and Diluc assumes the ugly vase is meant to spite him. But it turns out Diluc actually gives Kaeya wine, and the vase is actually Kaeya's way of returning Diluc's vision. Each brother assumes the other acts with ill intent, while in actuality, they're both doing something thoughtful. It shows that they'll always have each other's backs when it matters, despite their personalities butting heads every once in a while. So go read the thing for yourself. It's well worth your time. Link to the webtoon is in the description. Please comment your opinions on the manga down below. I'd love to know your thoughts. This video took about a month to make, so if you feel so inclined, I would very much appreciate it if you hit the like button or subscribed. Thank you to channel members for supporting my videos, and thank you for watching until the end. Hasta la pasta! Later!